Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, Rover Turbo. Sorry it's been a while since I've uploaded anything, but I've been super busy with other stuff. So this is part 2 on the Mondeo video. I'll link here to part 1 on that if you want to go back and watch that, just to fill you in. But this video is basically part 2 on the Mondeo and me going through the issues I've got with the immobilizer. So this basically video is a bit of a how-to on how to deal with the PAT system, and I think on later or this kind of era of 2009 2010 Mondeo, I think focuses and maybe it might be the same, not sure. So I've used Forscan, which I tried to use my Autel system but it didn't work, so I went on to Autel. I'll put the links in the description of Forscan, which is quite a really good powerful piece of equipment, so I'll put the links down there. So this is basically just a quick update on what I've been doing. This is just like a home sort of office man cave thing that I've been building. I'm basically just going to have a worktop all the way along here, and I'm just going to do a lot of my sort of car related soldering stuff in here. So it's just to have a nice workspace that's out in the warm, and we're in the warm basically. Anyway, stop blabbering on, let's get on with the video. So I've got a replacement BCU, got it from the internet, second hand. I made sure it was the right code. So I've plugged it in, this is the old one. And it's coming up on stereo, please enter pin. And when you try and start it, it doesn't do anything, you turn the key, nothing happens, and it says immobilizer active. So I don't really know what I'm doing here. So I've gone into the keys, the immobilization key section on the Autel in the service functions, and you connect to the PAT system, and I've gone for ignition key erase. So I'm assuming that what I need to do is erase the two ignition keys, or the keys, or whatever keys, in the old BCM, so then to be able to then code new keys. That's the route I'm going down. So anyway, so apparently it has to communicate with a system, which obviously it's not going to do, is it? So this out code here, I've noticed that you can go on the internet and you can Google out code generator, and it will code you an in code. So by using the out code, it will give you an in code. So I'm assuming that's what I need to do. So I'm going to go on the internet now, I'm going to Google all this, and I did try it the other day, and on the old one, which obviously is completely pointless, but on the new one, I'll put this out code in and get an in code, and obviously when I click OK, I will then be able to enter the in code and be able to then go through the process. That's what I'm assuming I'm going to be able to do, so I will do that and come back. Right, so I've taken the out code on that page before, and I've gone Googled in code generator, and there's a Ford, I can't remember the name of it now, radio key generator, something like that, and then you put in the out code, and it's just generated me an in code, which is what this FD66. Now I'm going to press enter and I'm going to see what happens. The following procedure will erase all known keys. It is important to have 2 new keys available to program after this procedure, as the vehicle will not start before the 2 keys have been learned. Are 2 PATs NFX keys available? Yes, they are. I do have 2 keys. So this is all in the new BCM, not the old BCM. So I'm not worried I'm going to do anything wrong. Hopefully I'll be able to go back to the old BCM if I get any problems, unless the key is literally, it's going to change the code in the key. Anyway, the number of keys shown by the module is 0. Okay, so does that mean it already had its keys raised? Okay, so let's go to ignition key programming. Set the ignition switch to the off position, set the ignition to the on position, press OK when finished. Surely, oh, it says immobilizer active on the dash. Well, that didn't work, did it? ignition key programming. Okay. Immobilizer active. Right. Let me get a battery charger connected to it because we're down to 11.7 volts. So ignition key programming sort of doesn't do anything. So let's go to module initialization, which I tried before on the old BCM, and it asked me for the encode outcode. So I need to go through that process first. Right. So the battery charger's hooked up, but it's still saying low battery. So it's not very big. Something else I need to get actually is a proper. I've got it's only a small amp one. Anyway, module initialization. Turn the ignition on. Right, okay. Number of keys known by the module is 2. Well, we just tried to erase them. Ignition key erase. Okay, let me go through this procedure again. Right, so I've got the laptop out. I haven't got a Forscan on here. I think I used it on something else. So I'm going to go through the process of downloading Forscan, which I think is a free piece of software, and then I'll see what I have to do. If I've got to pay a certain amount of money, then I'll pay a certain amount of money. As it turns out, apparently, if you unplug the BCM and you plug another BCM in and you fuck about with it, what you end up with is a car that you can't start with the immobilizer active, so the car doesn't run now. So even though I plugged the old BCM back in, the car doesn't run. So I've just downloaded Forscan from forscan.org, gone to the download page or the products page here, and it gives you this list here. So I've clicked on the Forscan for Windows, downloaded it, and now I'm just installing it. So I'll put all these links in the description below for all of this. I don't know what it is about all these licenses. I'm assuming obviously the free version is going to be quite limited, so I'm gonna have to look into that. Also, I've got this, I don't know what cable. I have got another cable, but I don't know if it's the correct cable. I've got this old ELM. I believe that the ELM 327 is, I mean, this is ancient. This is one of the first pieces of diagnostics I ever had for just basic code scanning. But apparently a lot of software uses these ELMs, so I don't know whether this is actually going to work with Forscan. So it's already plugged into the laptop, it's already installed, and it's plugged into the OBD. So I finally found a cable. The ELM said it worked, it connected to the vehicle, but it wasn't connected at high speed, so they said they did not recommend you use it. I believe this because it's such an old module. I think the new ones have a switch on for high and low speed. I tried a generic. Oh, that's a VW one. I didn't try that one. So I've put a Mongoose. It's a Mongoose one in there I bought for JLR stuff, Jaguar and Land Rover. So I plugged that in, and it's found the Mongoose. So it likes that, and it's connected to the car. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now go through the process of trying to back up off the bit of reading that I've done. I'm going to back up hopefully the configuration on the old BCM, and then plug the new one in, and then transfer that back. I believe that's what I need to do, and then I'll go through the whole key situation. So pretty much what I thought, to use any of the coding options on here. Ignition back on again. I'll just show you. I've already been through this, but I'll just show you. So to go through any central configuration or module configuration or anything else like that in the BCM, you need an extended license. So you need an extended license to use any of the coding functions. So that's basically what I've done. I've gone and done a support request, so generate 2 months trial extended license key. So you fill out your details, and it says within 30 minutes, but it's a Saturday night, so I don't know whether that's going to happen. We'll see when it comes back, and then when it comes back we'll see if we can work out to get this module, well not this module, because this one it says it's faulty. Now it's saying it's not programmed, even though it's not even been plugged in, which is a bit weird. But now, anyway, whatever, what am I going on about? I have no idea. It's getting late. Yes, I need to take the configuration off of that BCM, because that learn stuff, I'm assuming, like whether it's an automatic gearbox or whether it's a manual gearbox, the stereo, all the other functions of the car, whether it's an estate, whether it's a hatchback or whatever. So the new one will need coding. So I believe there's a function in Forscan that you can copy configuration and programming. So we've got central configuration, main, so we've got 2 for the BCM, which I don't really understand, and I'm assuming this is going to have the wrong VIN in it as well, so that will have to be changed as well. So I'll come back. I've got the downloaded key, followed the instructions, quite easy to do, put the key in. With the old module, I went into secure configuration and programming and clicked on central configuration main, and then clicked on the play button, and it went through a procedure where it tried to connect. It said something was missing, it had to download it from the internet. My AVG antivirus blocked it, so I disabled that, and it done whatever it needed to do, and it showed me the configuration for the car. So it allowed me to save that, and I've saved the configuration of the car, everything that this car was coded with. So I've done that. So the next thing I'm going to do is then go through the procedure of, then I've plugged the replacement BCM in, and then I'm going to then go through and see whether in the configuration and programming module reset, okay, I've just done a module reset. I don't even know if I needed to do that or not, but I've just done it. So under configuration and programming, I've gone to the module configuration, which is where I went before. Click on play. No, I don't think it was that then, wasn't it? It was obviously that one. So the VIN number 342, sorry, the VIN number 345 isn't the correct VIN number. So what I need to do, so this is the information based on the BCM that is currently installed. So it shows you there, obviously it's an automatic, it isn't an automatic, blah 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 blah. So I'm assuming I can load my file that I saved from the old BCM. Okay, so this is my old BCM, and then I'm assuming I can write that and this is now writing that's basically just confirming, is the battery charged, blah 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 blah. Okay, so cycle ignition off and back on. Okay, because it was coming up with could not communicate with the automatic transmission module because obviously it didn't have. So configuration and programming. Module configuration. So stop that. Go into that. Module configuration. This, I'm assuming, is just windows, how the windows go up and down, so I don't believe I've got anything to do with that. So configuration and programming, there isn't anything else to do with the BCM. So I'm assuming now I've written the correct VIN number into the BCM. So under coding, we've got PATS programming. So I'm assuming that's the next place I need to go. We'll add keys will not be erased. When programming a remote control key fob, ensure that the correct part of the vehicle is used. Ignition key erased. Well, I think I'm going to no. Ignition key erased. I'm going to erase the ignition keys. Because I don't want any old keys or anything at all confusing the new system. So I'm going to remove remove the existing keys. So this is the encode thing that the Autel was failing on before. It was just telling me, even though I was going to generate encodes and all that kind of stuff, it was just failing, and every time I tried to delete the keys, it just wouldn't do anything. So the following procedure will erase all known keys. It's important to have 2 keys available to program after this procedure, as the vehicle will not start until 2 keys have been learned. That's interesting. I didn't realise that. It's good to have got 2 keys, isn't it? Are 2 PATS keys available? I'm assuming that means you can add keys if you have only got 1, rather than deleting them. All known keys have been erased. You must now program a minimum of 2 keys. Okay, so ignition key programming. Okay, security access may be lost if the following actions are not completed in 10 seconds. The timer starts as soon as ignition is switched off. Setting the ignition switch to off. Set ignition switch to on. Off. On. Okay. Please turn on off ignition and re-enter into the PATS menu and check counter. If the counter is increased, it means the procedure is successful. Okay, so it's saying 1 key, ignition is off, taken the original key out, and this is the second key. The key fob central locking doesn't work on here, but I'm assuming that's just down to a battery. So I'm going to put the next key in, ignition on, off, take it out, put it back in, turn it on, and press OK. Okay, so now it's saying number of keys stored 2. Okay, so I've still got to put a pin into that. So it's now not coming up with, well, maybe it is actually. Let me just check. It would say immobilizer. Oh, it's still saying immobilizer active, and it's not starting. Right, well that's no good, is it? Yep, okay, let's try ignition. Okay. Maybe there's something I'm missing here. So we'll wait for this to do this, and then we'll see what happens. Right, so this is on the module so this is the module initialization. So please perform the following actions within 5 seconds. Set ignition to off, back on. Okay. PATS model initialization is now complete. Oh, did you hear that? I got too excited and it started. I've got a battery charger and a extension lead on top of the engine, so I can't run it for very long. So this is the other key. Right, awesome, awesome. Right, so both my keys are now coded. They're coded to the car. I've programmed the unit. So now I'm just going to have a bit of a fiddle with the program just to see if there's anything I can do with the program. So that's awesome. I'm well happy about that. So before, the codes in that were that it was damaged or there was something wrong with the programming. So obviously I've just replaced it with another one. Any codes? The ignition is on. Any codes? Oh, ignition isn't on. I'm getting too excited. Calm down, Paul. Calm down. So there's no codes now, according to this. So I'm going to leave it there because late Saturday night, my takeaway's coming. So I'm going to leave this here and I'm going to come back on it in the morning. Just before I go, this is still doing this, so I don't know. I'll have a look in the service history in the book pack if there's a pin for it. There might be a pin, I don't know. I'll look into it. Right, so I also noticed that the remote wasn't working. This one wasn't, the spare key wasn't working anyway. The fobs didn't work, but this one did. And I've noticed that none of them are now working. So I have already gone through the reset procedure and I'm just going to see whether it will do it again. So you put the key into the ignition, you turn it on to position 1. Okay, so no dash lights, but position 1, and then you turn it to 2 and 1 4 times and the car will make a bong. Okay, so it's on 1 at the moment, so 2, back to 1, 2, back to 1, 2, back to 1, 2, back to 1. Okay, you hear that bong, you press any button on the remote, you get a bong. Okay, you press any button on your second remote, you get another bong. Okay, you turn the ignition off, turn the ignition on, and turn it back off again. Okay, so now that one works and that one works. Right, so that's it on the Mondeo. It's basically all done. It's been given a quick clean, given it a wash, some detailer spray. It all looks quite nice. So it looks sort of nice and clean inside. So it's got a new MOT with no advisories. It's had full service, so a full check over service and a major service. So all of the filters have been changed, pollen filter, fuel filter, you know, the usual kind of thing. The front tyres are a little bit low, but they're not an advisory on the MOT. There was an advisory last couple of years for corrosion on the suspension components, but not excessive. So I've been underneath there with a wire brush and wire brushed it all down, basically giving it a coat of under sealant just to keep it at bay. You've got to remember this has done 152,000 miles. So the MOT tester was happy with that. It's all been treated and hopefully that will then give it, you know, a few more years, because apart from replacing it or stripping it or powder coating it, or, you know, you're just not going to do it on a car of this age. So it's just been, you know, the front subframe's been painted and the rear subframe's been painted and the springs as well. Just basically the powder coat, the coating of powder coat over the springs basically was cracking and starting to flake off. So there's nothing actually wrong with them. So that's all been peeled off, wire brushed and given a coat of paint. So that's all good. So this car is going to my nephew. He's got a growing family and they've got a small Toyota with 160 odd thousand miles on it. The paintwork on it is absolutely terrible, which I'm doing a deal on this for his car, so he's going to be with me shortly, and I'm taking his car in Part X against this one. So obviously this is going to be fantastic for their camping trips, to get all the stuff in the boot. Obviously it's a much newer car with lower mileage, so I'm helping him out on this one, so I'm hoping he's going to be happy with it. So it didn't need a lot at all, apart from obviously the issues with the BCM, which have been done. I haven't had a single issue with it. I've put another battery, a bigger battery on there, because the battery that was on there wasn't clamped in properly, and it was smaller than it should have been, because you could tell where the original clamp was. So that's been changed for a battery bigger for the capacity for this car. That's obviously all bolted down, so that's all good. And I guess, yeah, I didn't really do a lot for the MOT. I've been driving it about. I put some diesel in it, and it's been absolutely 100% faultless. Lovely car. You know, it's a really, I mean, I thought about giving this to my wife, but hers is a newer 14 plate car. We're having a few issues with that car, so she kind of wants rid of it really, but it's such a, you know, her car is in such good condition. It just has a few little niggly issues which I need to resolve. So there you go. That's the end of the videos on the Mondeo. Another quick little, wasn't really quick, was it quick? I don't know. Quick little flip on the car. Nothing really. Small issue that someone couldn't or didn't want to deal with, that I had the time to investigate to find out exactly, you know, how to fix the fault, and I did, and it's been great ever since. So that's it on this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it, as always, and I will see you soon in the next one. Cheers.